Well, hello there, how is everyone? I hope you're all well on this fabulous Monday. That's right, it's Monday, and here we go on another week. And whenever it's Monday, I always find myself wondering what the week will bring. And usually by Friday, we're all looking back at it together and thinking, wow. And is this week going to be another one of those wow weeks? Who knows? But anyway, let's get straight into the meat and potatoes, as in that vein we talk about, yet again, Bryan Kohberger. And the reason why we're talking so much about Bryan Kohberger at the moment is, well, apart from the fact that we talk about him pretty much all the time, there's a lot going on around right now. Obviously, we've got the defence seemingly pushing very hard that they want this indictment to be quashed, got rid of, boom, gone. And there's kind of two camps now. It's the camp of people who believe that this is all strategic by the defence. They're trying to, get this technical win because, there's no real other way of getting out of it, and this is how Ann Taylor works, yada, yada, yada. And then you've got the other camp that is firmly in the belief that this has been wrong from the beginning, and there's always been so many questions that needed to be answered, should have been answered, and we're getting to kind of, how can I say, we're getting to the point where a lot of people thought we would eventually end up, and that is kind of a case implosion, as the prosecution and everyone around this case are brought to task on things that they've either not done or should have done, that sort of thing. But I think it's time that we all took a little bit of a step back and had a little bit of a reality check in this Idaho 4 case. Because, look, even though we kind of use this as something that we discuss daily, some people use it for entertainment, it's something that, people become very invested in, there are some real implications here in however this goes, and some things to really take stock of in terms of what could actually be going to happen here. Now, some people feel that Bryan Kohberger is absolutely banged to rights. Absolutely banged to rights. And let's tackle that first. And that is that, let's just say Bryan Kohberger is indeed guilty. He did this crime. Then the worrying thing should be is, could Bryan Kohberger walk? Could this guy, who is absolutely capable of doing what happened at that 1122 King Road residence, does he have the ability now to walk on a technicality? Because something was indeed done wrong. Was there, because he was then guilty and he knew what he did and knew how the whole thing played out, did that give him a more inside account of how things had potentially been done to frame him, so to speak? What I'm saying is, and I've touched on this in the past, let's just say he is guilty and he did it and he knows exactly how that all played out, but he knows because of that law enforcement have said something wrong, or they've got the timing off and the murders didn't happen when they said it did, or he didn't leave a knife sheath because he didn't take one in the first place. All of these things could play into his hands as bullets in his gun, so to speak. So that's a concern. A concern should be that a very capable and dangerous guy could walk on a technicality. And all because you could argue that things weren't done properly. They seem to have been rushed. We've always, or some of us have always had that vibe that perhaps someone pointed Bryan out to them and said, look, he's the guy, and they kind of tried to build a case around that. Now, I might be wrong, of course, because, again, I'm not a professional, but that's just kind of how it's felt to me. Not that they went down the proper route of investigation, bringing him in and questions and so on and so forth, and built up that foundation. There seems to be a strong case that's built on a knife sheath, but the foundation of that case is weak as fuck. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. And again, that might be just because I'm not a professional. But so that's that, Bryan Kohberger being guilty and dangerous and getting off on a technicality. But there is then the flip side of that coin, and that is that Bryan Kohberger is indeed innocent and something has gone awry. And is there a possibility of that? Is that possible? And some people are steadfast in their belief that no, that is absolutely not possible. There was a comment yesterday and it was talking about the mountain of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. And I don't know whether I've just missed something, whether I'm not looking at everything the same as what some people do, or whether that's just the biased nature of the case and some people have him bang to rights. I'll get there in a second. Bang to rights, and other people are more open-minded to the process. But I don't know what the mountain of evidence against him is. I know there's a knife sheath that has his DNA on it that could have got on there before it was in the property, that doesn't then place him at the property. It just means that at some point he came into contact with that knife sheath, or he came into contact with someone who came into contact with it. But that's not beyond reasonable doubt. And then you've got a car that may or may not be his. There's nothing that 100% places his car there that I've seen in terms of definitive proof that the car that we're being shown is indeed Bryan's. And there's still confusion over people who are saying that there's all the phone records that place him there, and I've not seen them. I know there's some phone data regarding his phone being turned off, and phone data saying that he had turned up at Moscow, Idaho 12 times previously. But all that really does is shows that he can come to Moscow, Idaho for some reason and leave and nobody's hurt. So I don't really understand how that sort of proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he actually entered that home on that night and done this crime. Again, I'm just saying that I wouldn't say that that's a mountain of evidence against him and proof that he did it. And this isn't about being biased. Again, this is just about understanding what the importance of the process is. Because there is other things that could happen here. Make no bones about it. The guy could be innocent, and he could be killed by the state. That's another thing that could happen. And even though some people are going to be like, no, that's not happening, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're talking shit, there's a mountain of evidence. Again, show me right down below, what is the mountain? If you're a firm believer that there is a mountain of evidence against Bryan Kohberger, then list it down below what you believe the mountain of evidence against him is. The absolute proof that he entered that property this specific night and done this specific crime. I'd be interested. Please let me know. Not saying you're wrong. Maybe I'm just not seeing it the same way in what you're doing, and perhaps you'll enlighten me and I can come round to your way of thinking. But yeah, an innocent guy could face the death penalty. That's something that could happen. At this stage, we must appreciate that, because at this stage, he has not gone through due process and been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But this technicality win, just say that he gets off on a technicality, which to me, we seem to be dangerously teetering towards that. A dismissal, something that he had said apparently at the beginning, saying that he was eager to be exonerated. And exoneration is to be in this exact situation and for the case to be dismissed. The only difference is an exoneration would kind of go to say, look, you didn't do it. And, we were wrong, kind of thing. But a technicality win for him to walk out. Who truly wins in that situation? Who truly wins? Now, obviously, it could be argued that if he's guilty and he walks, then technically he wins, doesn't he? That's it. But what if he is innocent? There was an attempt to frame him. This was something that was rushed through due to pressure, and maybe there is somebody else involved. There's more to this story. Even if Bryan was part of the machine, but he wasn't the only part of that machine. But there was a lot more going on. and there's a technicality win. Now, Idaho then can't turn around and say, right, now what we've got to do is go and hunt for the person who really did do this. Because they would then have to explain where the knife sheath come from. They would have to explain some of the things that has happened. But with a technicality win, they can say, look, we had a right man, we had the right guy, but he got off on a technicality, he played the system, and that's the system that's at fault. And all they can really do then is push that Bryan Kohberger's a dangerous guy, and, you know, and who knows. But what a mess. What a mess. But just say Bryan is indeed innocent, this technicality win. He doesn't win through that. He doesn't win at all, because his life is still over. The only person who wins in that situation is indeed the state, the university, everybody involved in the indictment and getting Bryan Kohberger into that position he's in. Because they're not going to turn around, are they, and say, look, he's an innocent guy, we got it wrong. It just leads to more questions. This is the biggest mess in history. And I would imagine that before the court date, we're gonna be in a position. Where are you right now? Do you feel that come October we're going to be in a position where this court case is going to start? Do you feel that there is going to be a delay, and it's going to be delayed until later because more information is going to come out and it's definitely going to trial? Or do you at this stage feel that it's not going to trial at all? We're not even going to meet October. There is going to be a dismissal of this case, and if there is a dismissal of this case, where do you think that leaves the entire situation? Is it indeed, like I say, is this an innocent guy whose life has been ruined, or is it a dangerous guy who worked the system and got off? And how does that look in the grander scheme of things? Love you all. Have a fantastic Monday, and I will catch you all in the next one.